Camera's off.
Oh, they would have loved that.
This is Armed American Radio's Daily Defense.
Armed American Radio's Daily Defense, because they don't want me to, that's why I do it.
Presented by the National Rifle Association. From the CZ Studios.
They're never going to stop us here.
Here is your host, the loudest conservative voice in America fighting the enemies of freedom, Mark Walters.
Hey guys, welcome in. Armed American Radio's Daily Defense begins right now here in the CZ Studios, as you just heard on that intro. I am Mark Walters, filling your prescription for freedom today and every day. Patriot Mobile microphone lit up for you here at the ranch, and it's all being brought to you, all of it being brought to you by the National Rifle Association. Greg in Dallas, Texas, how you doing?
Not too bad. Here we are, top of the hill.
Here we are, top of the hill, rolling on into your favorite day. I had a lot of people in the chat say, or a bunch mentioned yesterday, because I was on a roll, saying that no wonder Greg loves Fridays so much after yesterday's program. We had a lot to talk about, and I was angry Mark County yesterday out of the box. We'll talk a little bit more about that escapade with David Codrea today, but I do want to point out that we are live audio, spinning AAR logo. You can listen to us over on, and watch us, of course, over on Facebook.com/Armed American Radio. And Greg, I'll let you tell everybody where else they can watch the spinning logo and listen to the show, and then participate in the chat. And we'll go to our guest, David Codrea. Lots to cover today.
Yeah, for sure. Other places to listen to the show today are going to be YouTube. You can search for Armed American Radio with Mark Walters. Over on X, we're at AAR Mark. You can also head on over to armedamericanradio.org or .com, hit that menu icon, then select that Listen Live option. To join the live chat, just download Telegram, create your profile, and search for Armed American Radio Conversations.
That'll do it, ladies and gentlemen. Let's go right to the phones. David Codrea, the Madman, waronguns.com, fan favorite for a reason, original OG in the roundtable. How you doing, David? Welcome in, brother.
It is just the most beautiful day here in northeastern Ohio. You know, we're getting the last of, I guess, Indian summer is probably what you end up calling it.
Yeah.
But beautiful sun out there, warm. I'm just wearing a T-shirt on the porch and loving it because the leaves are already starting to fall, already starting to turn, and within a couple of weeks I'm going to be up to my hips in them.
David, can we say Indian summer anymore? What's the name of the Cleveland what now?
The Guardians.
Oh, so do we have to call it Guardian Summer now?
Well, actually, the Guardians, there's a bridge in Cleveland that has these statues that have been called the Guardians. So that's how they went ahead and justified and made that transition. I suppose we could call it First People's Summer. I don't know.
We could also call it Commander Summer in honor of Washington Redskins being woke, right? Commander Summer or something like that. Yeah, what a joke it is out there.
All I know is, you know, we still have the Vikings, we still have the Fighting Irish, you know, we still have the Saxons. So I guess it doesn't apply on all sides, does it?
No, and if Trump gets his way, it'll be back to the Cleveland Indians and back to the Washington Redskins the way it ought to be.
Yeah.
But that's just me, you know, that's just me. Hey, David, I have some breaking news here as I hiccup. That's why you're not supposed to drink carbonated beverages on a live microphone, ladies and gentlemen. So if you ever find yourself on a live mic, that's a no-no. But if you watch me every day, you know I do it every day anyway, and I've been pretty good about it. See if I can make it through the day today. But we have some breaking news here that is huge, ladies and gentlemen. This is why I ask you to join these organizations. This pertains to you if you're a member of the Firearms Policy Coalition or if you're a member of the Second Amendment Foundation. And you can join after the fact, and it pertains to you. In the United States District Court for the Northern District of Texas, Fort Worth Division, Firearms Policy Coalition et al., including SAF, versus Pam Bondi, defendant, final judgment. This judgment is issued pursuant to FedR. This, I won't give you the rest of the numbers, just, you know, lots of acronyms and P's and numbers and A's and all that stuff. This action came on for consideration by the court, and the issues having been duly considered and a decision duly rendered, it is ordered, adjudged, and decreed that plaintiff's motion for summary judgment is granted. Defendant's motion for summary judgment is denied. The court declares that it is unconstitutional under the Second Amendment with respect to plaintiffs and their members. That means us if you're a member, guys. Possession and carrying of firearms inside of an ordinary United States post office or the surrounding post office property. An ordinary U.S. post office is defined as a United States post office that is not located inside of 1, a military base or similarly restricted access area, or 2, a federally owned or leased building housing government functions other than the United States Post Office in which carrying a firearm would otherwise be prohibited. Well. And I will tell you this right now, that this pertains, the government has not yet sought a stay, David, in this. Don't know that they're likely going to. This is big news. This, again, Second Amendment Foundation and Alan Gottlieb. No wonder my kids call him the Savage ever since they were 9 and 10 years old. Good heavens, bro. Another victory. We'll take it, right?
Well, you kind of answered my question, because I did a post on this based on the SAF press release that came out announcing this, and my question was, because it did say SAF members and all that, so those who aren't at this point can either join up or they're not covered by it. Do you know which jurisdictions this takes place in? Because that's something else. Does it apply throughout the country, or is it in a specific area that this applies to? And of course, my other question is, why against Bondi? Why is she fighting this in the first place?
I don't think she was. I think it was because she's the Attorney General at this point. So
inherited, but
inherited.
Why not repudiate the case? Why not repudiate the case and back off of it? They've done that before.
It's a great question, and you've asked me a couple questions that right now I don't have answers to. You jumped the gun on me here, pun intended. I will know more about that later today, because I do not want to give bad information out. So hang tight with us, ladies and gentlemen. We're trying to find out more about this, but yet again, another huge victory. So,
well, I have a complaint.
I'm sure you do. You wouldn't be you if you didn't, and this is the forum for it.
Hear me, brother. Ohio now has permitless carry, and if this goes through and goes to Ohio, I'm going to really have to start trying to break the gun law every day, man.
Well, do we really want to go there, California, David? Hey, sometimes it happens, right? Sometimes it happens inadvertently. And I will say this: my son, as I mentioned yesterday, turned 21 yesterday, and he's carrying with him everywhere. He's living with the old Clint Smith adage, "Pants on, gun on" at this point. And I had the conversation with him. There are very few places off limits here in the state of Georgia. However, he does know where they are, and we got to check on some of the campus carry laws just to be doubly, triply, quadruply sure. But I love living in a free state, David. It's all I can tell you. And what else can I say? I wouldn't live behind a blue wall. I couldn't do it.
Hey, Mark, we sure weren't having conversations like this 10 years ago, were we?
No, we were not. So, and I'm glad you brought that up. Let's talk briefly about that, because I guess you're referencing a whole lot of changes, right?
Yeah, a whole lot of changes, and you know me, Mark, and you've heard me and you've joined me. Oftentimes we express concerns and criticisms with the way the administration is proceeding, but I got to say, ultimately, bottom line, as much as I like to carp and wail and moan, I have never seen an administration in my lifetime make the positive strides towards restoring the Second Amendment that I see here. And all I can say is we just got to keep up the pressure, keep making our views known, and enjoy it while the sun is out. Let's make hay.
Well, I think really important to note as a follow-up to that statement is this is why we have to join the organizations, the Second Amendment Foundation, FPC. It's why we need to join the National Rifle Association and our state's organizations, because this is evidence of staying on the gas, right? This is evidence of pushing the accelerator. Have played, David, how many years have we played defense together?
Yeah, and it really illustrates the strength of the Democrats that they showed through the Obama administration was by being organizers. Mm-hmm. And this, unfortunately, gun owners, it's like herding cats. We've talked about that before, too. But you have to have organization. You have to work together. And that means you have to do more than make comments under blog posts. You have to join. You have to get involved in elections. You have to do all the things to use this remarkable system that the founders bequeathed to us and to resolve things, because we can do it. If gun owners wanted to unify and get together like this, we'd be unstoppable.
We should be unstoppable. because we are the majority. And I think part of what's kept us from being unstoppable is we have a tendency to let complacency take root. As we see with the Trump administration, there should be no such thing as a Trump slump, right? This is when we really should, to use that euphemism, we should be stepping on the gas right now. We really should. Go out and buy a gun, buy some ammo. The industry's in a little bit of trouble right now, in a lot of trouble, depending on which manufacturer we're referring to. Support them and support the organization, support the groups.
Not just that, but we're seeing spin-offs into other things like magazines and things like that.
Yeah,
okay?
hang tight with us, ladies and gentlemen.
Ads.
David, when we come back, we're going to continue the conversation. I can't wait to hear your thoughts on what happened with my daughter. We talked about it yesterday. I'll give you a brief recap, and then we'll go back to David Codrea. WarOnGuns.com is where you can find the clearinghouse for everything David Codrea. We've got a lot to cover with him. We'll be right back. Mic's up, camera's off. There we go.
The following segment of Armed American Radio's Daily Defense is being brought to you by Patriot Mobile. Visit patriotmobile.com/AAR and use the AAR promo code to get free activation today. Welcome back to the show.
Yeah, Danielle Buck will be joining us tomorrow from Patriot Mobile. We love our Patriot Mobile. Please, get a Patriot Mobile phone. Add a line. Bring your phone over. Easy to do. The U.S.-based customer service team in Texas will be more than happy to help you. It'll take but about 20 minutes. You can do one phone at a time, and you're going to get a free month. Oh, less than $500 on your phone? Go ahead and pay it off. You're going to get a $500 credit. Yeah. You have more phones you move over at $500. You're going to move 4 phones, $2,000 credit. You won't pay a phone bill for a while. I can promise you that. And you'll have Patriot Mobile using all of the towers. You're actually going to get better service than you have right now. Pretty much that simple. PatriotMobile.com/Armed American Radio or /AAR. David Codrea, welcome back. I reached out to Alan Gottlieb during our break live and said, on air right now, Alan, as you know, is the post office ruling national or just the Texas district? Can you please confirm for listeners? He responded, absolutely. I love your listeners. National, but only for members. So this is a national ruling, ladies and gentlemen, nationwide. But you have to be a member of the Second Amendment Foundation or the FPC or one of the original 2 plaintiffs in the case. Here's what Alan had to say about it. This is a huge win for SAF and its members. There is no historical analog to justify a ban on carrying a firearm on postal property, and we are pleased the court rightly saw through this thinly veiled attempt at preventing citizens from fully exercising their constitutional rights. Big victory nationwide. If you're not a member and you go to the post office late at night like I do from time to time because I can't do it during the business hours, this is your opportunity to join the Second Amendment Foundation or the Firearms Policy Coalition. And guess what? Happy carrying at a post office, David. So I'm glad we were able to confirm that, and I thank Mr. Gottlieb for jumping in. But he loves our listeners, and he loves you guys. So thanks to Alan for that. David, did you want to comment on that before we move on?
No, it's just that answers my question. Thank you. Thank him.
Yeah, I just did. You got to love Alan. He's the real deal. There's a reason my kids call him Savage. I just love it. The guy is just a fighter, and wow. Whew. What another great victory, ladies and gentlemen. So we'll keep our eye on this. It's effective immediately. Right now. Have at it. Have fun. But keep in mind, David, I think it would be good advice to remind listeners that it's likely that not all post offices may have been notified or may have seen it. So just be aware of that. That's all. We're just giving you that advice. David, you saw what happened with my daughter and the leftist goofball wacko, whatever he was. Over 14,000 views already and still growing. On my tweet that I put out with the video, I did isolate the individual, and we are putting him up on local social media later today to see if he can be identified within the area. And I thought it interesting that my local website that caters to about 134,000 people saw my original post and approved my membership so that I could get a post out there. So yeah, they're down with it. So we're going to get it out there and try to expose this clown and find out if he's somebody's teacher, pharmacist, doctor, lawyer, Indian chief, accountant. We're not going to stop. People like this need to be exposed, and the community has a right to know who these people are and who they work for and who they're dealing with. It's that simple. David.
Well, it really illustrates to me, I think back in retrospect, and when I saw it, my first reaction was, I do everything I can to stay out of trouble and not respond to insults and provocations and things like that, because I know how dangerous situations can turn. And so when it's just me, I will eat a lot. When you start involving my children in it, there's something primal that rises up and throws a lot of those cautions and self-restraints to the wind and wants to have a response. But in retrospect now, when I thought about that a little more, what it really does show, though, is the difference between us and these goofy leftists, because we know how a situation can escalate and turn bad really quickly. So we're the last people in the world to go up and start something with somebody and insult somebody over something that's really none of our business. I might see somebody, with a Harris bumper sticker on their car, I'm not going to say anything to them, because why do I want to start trouble? And if you do get into an altercation and you start things, your defense is going to be a lot more difficult legally to be able to justify reacting if you're the person who precipitated that. But it just shows these leftist goons that want to disarm us because they talk about violence and all that. They're the ones that are initiating it through their own oblivious stupidity, obnoxiousness, woke sanctimoniousness, and everything else. So, yeah, I hope you catch this guy. I want to know his name, too.
Yeah, I would love to know his name. I saw somebody the other day with a Stacey Abrams bumper sticker on, and you know, you mean to tell me that you don't want to run these people off the road? You don't instigate a road rage incident? You don't initiate a drive-by shooting? No, we don't.
You know,
we don't. We laugh it off.
You take... Yeah, you take, I said one time when NRA was like 5 million members, I say, take these 5 million members, the most peaceable population on the planet. You know, the most heavily armed yet peaceable population on the planet. Because when's the last time you saw an SAF member or a GOA member or an NRA member or, you know, rob a liquor store or do a drive-by shooting or, you know, any of these other things that we're constantly being blamed for because we're the greatest threat, you know, right-wing extremists.
Well, I did both of those things last night. I just didn't get caught.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's, you know, we're funning with you, ladies and gentlemen. David, you're absolutely spot on. Now, there's a goofball in every crowd, right? When you've got hundreds of thousands of members, you're going to get that one idiot that's out there. But we do our level best to weed them out. I know in our local group at ga2a.org, we've weeded out a couple of them over the years. And they're there. There's some, you know, you've got wackos on all sides. On, you know, like I said, there's judges, lawyers, doctors, Indian chiefs, anesthesiologists, radiologists, teachers. There's somebody of every walk of life in prison for doing something stupid. So there's dumb people out there on all sides. But yeah, for the most part, you don't. And the left would love to see that the guy who shot something up was an NRA member. Never happens. Second Amendment Foundation member. Never happens. Why? Because I think you nailed it. We are the most peaceable people on earth and the most heavily armed people on earth. Absolutely correct. Well said, David. I like that.
I always like to point out that John F. Kennedy, an NRA life member, was assassinated by Lee Harvey Oswald, an ACLU member. So there you go.
Well, that's all true. Yeah, wouldn't you love to know what side of the fence John Kennedy would be on today with this nonsense coming from the woke left? It's incredible. It's incredible.
Well, I actually did an article years ago because Guns Magazine back in the 50s used to do a Know Your Legislators column, and they would interview, you know, politicians, and they did Hubert Humphrey and John F. Kennedy on the Second Amendment, and they were both absolutely spot on, and they weren't talking duck hunting. They were also referring that ultimately it's a safeguard against tyranny. And those were the two biggest libs of their era.
Of their era. Those are the operative words, of their era. I do want to throw an exclamation point on that when we come back from the break, because there is another way to look at this or to try to explain. Obviously, we can't get inside John F. Kennedy's mind. We can't get inside Lee Harvey Oswald's mind at this stage of the game. But I do have a little caveat I want to throw out there, just some food for thought, and then we'll talk about some of David Codrea's amazing work that you can find at waronguns.com. We're going to cover a lot of pieces from Firearms News. Also, we'll be back with David right after this. Don't go away. Mics are live. What's up, boys and girls? Coming back in 15 seconds, that is.
The following segment of Armed American Radio is proudly being brought to you by the National Rifle Association. Help us defend freedom by visiting nra.org/AAR and join today. Welcome back to the show.
Yes, welcome back to the show indeed. Mark Walters filling your prescription for freedom today and every day here in the CZ studios in front of this Patriot mobile microphone. And it is all brought to you by the National Rifle Association. I had a lot of exchanges with a number of folks on social media yesterday, in large part because of the huge response and the number of followers that we picked up regarding that video of that goofball leftist, which we'll we've already covered that. I'm not going to go back to that. But a lot of you have joined and rejoined, and I appreciate that very much. And as you heard David and I talking, it is just so important that we're members of these groups, all of them. Help us get the National Rifle Association back up to 5 and 6 million and even higher than that members. Still the largest, most powerful pro-gun group ever in American history. And this is when we need to step on the accelerator. Join us. If 1 to 3 year membership, $35 a year for a 1 year membership, you get a free range bag out of the gig. Same with the 3 year membership, 5 year in life, you get the binoculars, free stuff. Take advantage of it, and you're good to go. You've done your part. And while it's a small part, you've done your part. A lot better part than those who just sit on the sidelines and whine and complain and moan. Well, they got a lot to prove to me. I get that. But they're proving it every single day. Get on board with us. Get in the pool. The water's warm. Help us out. Just a 1 year membership is all we ask. Just do it. It's $35. You're good to go. David Codrea, welcome back.
Always good to be with you, Mark.
So I wanted to throw something out about the Kennedy deal because I could easily make this argument, and I think it's worth talking about. But the left that we know today probably wouldn't be what it is today had John F. Kennedy survived and served 2 terms. Imagine the elder statesman Kennedy, past president, highly regarded by his party. It is very highly likely that the party would not have gone off the rails like it has. A guy like Kennedy would have helped keep that, kept that party in line, I do believe. Maybe at the very least it would have delayed it.
Yeah, I don't think he was the consummate slimy politician that Lyndon Baines Johnson proved to be.
Exactly.
And he basically set this country on a path of a downward spiral that has done nothing but grow and accelerate and metastasize, I should say.
Yeah, had he survived, it would have been interesting. Of course, we'll never know, but it is highly likely. And you can look back at Kennedy and you talk about the National Rifle Association, his support for the Second Amendment. MLK, too, by the way, trying to get a permit. The whole thing. We don't have time to do it. Yeah, we don't have time to do it on this program, but sometime you and I will hook up on the phone outside the program, and I want to tell you a Kennedy-related story.
Yeah. Okay, and then we can decide if we want to bring it up later.
Sounds good. Let's cover some of your work over at Firearms News. Democrats attack on civilian marksmanship expansion plays on fears with lies. Left-wingers in Congress, here's the subhead, equate marksmanship training with gangbanging. Take it away, David. The mic is yours.
Yeah, well, basically, there was a proposal to, in the budget, include Navy and Department of the Air Force guns going over to the civilian marksmanship program. And, of course, the left-wing loons jump on this, and they talk about how the amendment would make our country more dangerous by adding another responsibility and priority to the program to not just train people, but to essentially become an arms dealer, putting more weapons on the streets of this country. And first of all, it shows they don't know what the heck they're talking about, because back before this Maxwell Frost character was born, I got my M1 Garand through the CMP program back when it was Department of the Army, Department of Civilian Marksmanship program. They have always been involved in making sure that the American public is armed and trained. That's part of what being a gun safety organization is all about. Not this stupid Bloombergian every town train smart crap where they won't even raise the subject of America's most popular rifle, but true absolute training. And talk about putting them on the street. Do you have any idea the kind of background check I needed to go through? I had to get fingerprinted. I had to get the local police chief to sign a card. I had to go through a national security check. I had to wait 9 months to get my gun. I had to go through training. Okay, iron sights, and be able to prove that I could hit this thing. I knew how to do it and see my score among everybody else that was out there, and we had a wonderful time. Okay, and my gun never made it onto the streets somehow. Okay?
Onto the streets. Isn't that funny?
Mailman,
that gun's going to wind up on the streets. I'm not even sure what that means. I don't know how it goes from your safe to the streets when you're not a threat to anybody, right? Oh.
And on top of that, it was a weapon of war. Okay?
Well, so is a Glock, and so is a 1911. And that brings up a good point. That raises a great point. When you hear the left say these are weapons of war, they know. They're going to start. They pick the low-hanging fruit, the quote-unquote assault weapon. The AR-15 is what they refer to. But if you go to Washington State or Illinois or New York, the list of assault weapons is dozens and dozens and dozens long. Everything's a weapon of war to them. And eventually, if they're successful at that, which we will stop them on, then they're going to start moving to the other weapons of war, the sidearms. And
absolutely.
Sure, it's a natural outgrowth, right?
And as long as we're talking CMP, I have another article. That one was Firearms News. I have another one on Emmaland, and it's basically the South Korean government. I told that story about how the South Korean government back 10-some years, or the Obama administration, they wanted to give us some of our surplus rifles back, and Hillary Clinton's State Department put the kibosh on it for those exact reasons. You're going to be putting weapons of war. Well, this was something the State Department disallowed. So again, I wrote an article that says that Mr. Trump, please look into this, because this is something you don't need to go to Congress to change. You can do this yourself.
Okay, in the essence of time, I want to move fairly quickly here because I talked about this on Mark Cox's morning show, 97.1 FM, Mark Cox in the Morning, yesterday on 2A Tuesday in St. Louis. By the way, congratulations, 25 years with those guys, and to Mark Cox, because I know he listens to the show. But who, would you be so kind as to tell us who Mark Carney is?
Mark Carney. Why
Alberta, Canada.
Did I have a... Alberta, Canada. Yes. Well, actually, it's the premier that I got a hold of, and she went ahead and let me talk to her spokesperson. The Alberta government response to Firearms News inquiry regarding Ottawa gun grab. Alberta Premier Danielle Smith is trying to stop gun confiscation. So, yeah, Canada is trying to do gun confiscation. They call it a gun buyback, which they never owned it in the first place. And they have a good leader up in Alberta who actually sounds more pro-gun than any blue state Democrat I've ever heard. And she says that they're not going to do this. They're going to fight this every step of the way. And
here's how bad it is. Here's how bad it is. Let me get this out real quick, and I'll turn it back over to you. Mark played the tape for us yesterday. I don't have a copy of the tape, but I'll just paraphrase it. If you don't meet that deadline for those turn-ins, everything you have will then be subject to confiscation, forcible confiscation, and you will be charged as a crime. Now, many of you are thinking, oh, it's Canada. I don't live in Canada. Ladies and gentlemen, they're getting their info and their playbook from the American left. So watch what they're doing north of the border, because the American gun grabbers are involved in this. Likely consulting them. David, go ahead.
Just like what starts in California starts to seep eastward, okay? And I just found it very refreshing, by the way, as an American, as a U.S. citizen, I get a hold of the Alberta Premier's office, and within 2 days, I had a detailed response from them. I thought they were very responsive, very cooperative. My hats were off to them. And we have brothers and sisters up in Canada that want their freedom, and it's incumbent on us to support them, just like I hear people, well, let California fall into the ocean. No. People in California, gun owners in New Jersey, gun owners in New York, these guys are on the front lines of where the real battles are. You don't abandon them. These are the people that are out there fighting the real fight right where it's happening.
You are absolutely spot on. It's very important that we pay attention to this, particularly when it applies to our own borders, because we know where these leftists are getting their playbook, ladies and gentlemen. Right. Yeah, from right here in the United States. We've got one more segment and some more of David's work to cover, both at Ammo Land and Firearms News. So don't go away. We'll be right back.
Yeah.
This segment is brought to you by Attorneys on Retainer. Get the only self-defense program for gun owners backed by a real law firm, the Attorneys for Freedom. Visit them online at attorneysonretainer.us. Welcome back.
Yeah, you know, guys, if you join that in February, the members are going to be meeting in Phoenix area, Chandler, Arizona. I'll be there. AWR Hawkins will be there. Ryan Petty will be there. Alan Gottlieb will be there. This is going to be a big event for Attorneys on Retainer members. So make sure, not just because of that, but my gosh, you already know it. If you carry a gun, evil is real. They're out there if you have to use your gun. And these people are getting bolder and bolder by the day, ladies and gentlemen. Do not leave your home without your firearm. As I say over the years, never leave your cave without your club. No self-respecting caveman would have ever been caught outside his cave without his club. And in today's day and age, no self-respecting armed caveman would ever be caught outside his cave without the Attorneys on Retainer card. In your back pocket, it is $35 a month to literally have attorneys who do one thing and one thing only: defend you in self-defense cases. That's it. It's the only law they practice. They know what they're doing. Attorneys for Freedom Law Firm. This is attorneysonretainer.us. Use the promo code AAR. It is $35 a month. Save $50 on the sign-up fee. My entire family takes advantage of this, and it's $25 a head if you have the family. So just get off the fence. I know you've been thinking about it, and do it. Don't be silly. Clean your guns with Barrel Buddies. AAR is the promo code. 10% off, and you can sign up for an affiliate and make money. budsgunshop.com. My son's already been online. He's already ordered stuff. It's great. Our exclusive online retailer. Heaven's Harvest. Emergency food supplies. Crossbreed Holsters has everything you need for carrying your sidearm, whichever holster you want. Crossbreed's the best of the best. Car Arms, CZ. Patriot Mobile. Attorneys on Retainer. National Rifle Association. We've got the best group of partners we've ever had. Please visit armedamericanradio.com today and support them. We need your support. It's how we stay on the air. David Codrea, welcome back. Final segment already, brother. Flies right by.
Doesn't it?
Yeah, so I'm going to turn it over to you because I don't want to stifle you. I want you to get out everything that you want out because you sent a long list of links, and I'll let you prioritize them for us. Go ahead.
Two, I'll go through them real quickly, and then we can talk about other things. Like, for instance, I saw that the Trump administration and their Department of Commerce has pulled back their interim rule that said that we can't export firearms to foreign countries. That's a good thing. That's something that they, again, could do without Congress. And my alternative to that is there's a flip side to that, that Trump could end Bush Sr.'s 1989 semi-automatic auto rifle import ban with stroke of a pen. And that's because this thing was done through an executive action, okay? And all he's got to do is define these semi-automatic rifles the same way they do with domestically produced ones. They're called sporting rifles as opposed to military-type rifles. So just have ATF change the definition of what this is, and we're good to go. Obviously, it would take some legal wrangling and things like that, but these are things he can do without Congress. And now, all of a sudden, we have guns coming in, not just guns coming out, the type of guns that we need to defend freedom. The other one was I have one in ammo land. You'll recall that the Department of Justice has decided they're going to start restoring rights, okay, to people who've lost their gun rights through stupid, simple, mishaps and things like that. And I wanted to know, what's the criteria? Because, I understand Mel Gibson gives you headlines, and these other people, what did they do that made them worthy of it? This is something that all gun owners need to know and deserve to know and ought to understand. So we put in a Freedom of Information Act request asking them, what's the criteria? They ignored it. They bypassed the deadline. They didn't get back to us. And so the bottom line is, through my attorney, Stephen Stambulia, have filed a complaint to try to compel production of the criteria. And essentially what we're asking is, why were those 10 citizens chosen? What do they have that we don't? Or more to the point, what do we also have that they do? And I'd like to find the answer, and I think most gun owners would like to know the answer.
Agreed. A couple things I want to cover before we run. Let me try that again, Greg. Before we run out of time. How's that? I got it. And ladies and gentlemen, you hear us talking about joining the National Rifle Association. You heard us talking about becoming a member of SAF. If you're a member of SAF or FPC, you can now carry in a post office. Take a listen to AWR's headline. Federal judge, Biden ATF rule on firearm sales cannot be used against NRA members. Now, what are we talking about? That's, David, as you know, the engaged in the business rule, which became final on April 10th, 2024. Right. The rule is designed, we'll read it from AWR now, the rule is designed to expand the occurrences of point-of-sale background checks by counting certain private sales as business sales, thereby requiring the transfer to be handled via National Instant Criminal Background Check System. In other words, you heard us talking about it. They wanted to make you out all to be dealers if you were transferring anything. Sell a gun? Yeah, well, now you're engaged in the business. Guess what? If you're an NRA member, nope. Mays' ruling applied to 2 plaintiffs, Don Butler of Talladega and David Glidewell of Ragland, and to members of the National Rifle Association. Need another incentive to join, ladies and gentlemen? Both the SAF, FPC, and NRA? Now you got it. So I did want to point that out. That's important to note. Also, Trump DOJ, just filed a lawsuit over Los Angeles County Sheriff's concealed carry weapons permit issuance delays. Take it, David. Fun stuff.
No. This is, I could think of so many other jurisdictions where I'd like to see it. We saw the pay for play up in San Jose County, and people get, and I would also like to see them explore on these permits that are May issue that are pay for play. Let's you Democrats are the party of equality and inclusion and all that. How many of these jurisdictions are giving out permits and they're discriminating against people of color because they don't have the right numbers? Okay.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's been an ongoing problem for years.
Sure.
So
sure.
I mean, guys, go ahead.
I just wish we had 5 more hours and we'd still be fighting to get everything in.
I know. Well, I'm proud, though. We are moving fairly quickly. We did get to a couple other pieces that I didn't think we'd have time for, and that's that NRA deal. Guys, if you're on the sidelines, you sit and you go, oh, man, I should have done that. I should have joined. Just do it. The organizations that you could be a member of, their court rulings apply to their members because we all have standing as a member regardless of where you live. The post office gig? David, that's federal property. Kathy Hochul can't do shiitake mushroom about it. But you got to be an SAF member or FPC member to take advantage of it.
And after all this, I'd also like to see somebody get involved with the ban in military cemeteries, because there's a lot of veterans there that gave their lives for this country and this Constitution. And the fact that we cannot go and visit our loved ones legally and have our protection with us. We can't even have it locked in our car because it's on their property, which means if we have to travel an hour or two to go visit them, we have to go all that distance unarmed. Really? Yeah. This is America, the land of the Second Amendment?
Or maybe leave it in your hotel room if you got a room. Go. Yeah, now take this. We're getting ready to run out of time. And it's not breaking. I talked about this a couple of weeks ago, but I've had conversations with the powers to be, and this came up in conversation at the Gun Rights Policy Conference this past weekend in Utah. Those of you who use Corps of Engineer property, stay tuned. As a direct result of this conversation on this radio program, there's going to be a suit filed. I can promise you that. I know a guy. And guess who's going to win it? We will. Another huge victory. Beautiful. Guys, join these organizations, please. Won't you do that? David, tell people where they can find you really fast.
WarOnGuns.com, clearinghouse for everything I do for Ammo Land, clearinghouse for everything I do for Firearms News. Was a clearinghouse for American Handgunner. Unfortunately, they just published their last hard copy issue. My newest article is the Second Amendment.
10 seconds.
Say it is.
That's it. I got to stop you right there.
Thank you, Mark.
David's got to go buy a grill at Home Depot. Enjoy your day. We'll see you on the radio tomorrow.
You just filled your prescription for freedom with Mark Walters, presented by the National Rifle Association. The National Rifle Association on the Armed American Radio Network.
All right, guys, there you have it. Jam-packed hour, albeit it flew right by, but nonetheless, a jam-packed hour for you. So, remember, carry on, carry often, carry absolutely everywhere. Never, ever, ever leave your cave without your club. And guess what? We're going to get up and do it again tomorrow. We'll see you on the radio. Stay safe. Thanks for being here. Like and share the post. Follow us on social media. Visit all of our partners at armedamericanradio.com. And again, love each and every one of you, just in case nobody's told you that today and there's not a damn thing you can do about it. Enjoy your day. Stay safe. We'll see you on the radio.